Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about Emma Hale Smith. Did you know she was the 7th of 9 children? She was actually pretty religious at a young age, started going to the Methodist church with her mom at around 7. She actually met Joseph when she was 21 and he was 19. Her parents weren't super fond of him, probably partially because of the age gap. I don't know, just guessing there. But they were actually a pretty wealthy family, and Joseph obviously wasn't. They were a little bit concerned about that and his religious pursuits. I think you know what I'm talking about. Even though they were a pretty religious family. But Emma was very drawn to his character and they fell in love and eloped. Cute love story. In June of 1830, Emma Smith was baptized in New York, which Joseph actually received revelation saying that Emma was an elect lady. This revelation is found in D&C 25. And then later on, when the Relief Society is created, the revelation is fulfilled and Emma Smith is their very first president. Let's talk about what's on every BUA student's mind right now. Marriage. Joseph and Emma Smith didn't quite have a perfect love story as I might have made it sound like when they eloped and so great. They had a pretty, honestly, normal marriage. They had to deal with a lot of poverty. The church went into a lot of debt and they had to deal with that as well. There was obviously a lot of persecution on the church and Emma stood right by it. So one of the hardest parts with Emma and Joseph's marriage was the idea of polygamy. The first time that Emma found out about plural marriage from Joseph and its revelation on it, they were actually in conversation all day, according to Joseph's journals. Now, I don't know about you, but it doesn't sound super great to me. Caused actually quite a bit of conflict. So as I said before, Emma had a lot of trouble dealing with the idea of plural marriage. She was constantly back and forth on the idea. Around the year of 1843, in the beginning, she actually consented to and witnessed the marriages of 4 different women to Joseph Smith. But by July, she was not having it, changed her whole attitude on it, and actually burned a copy of the manuscript with the revelation on. After Joseph's death, there's a source that shows how Emma participated in an interview where she actually totally denies the idea of plural marriage and it happening. But in the same interview, you can see her determined faith in the gospel and in the Lord and the Book of Mormon and in Joseph being a prophet. This all kind of just shows her internal conflict with the idea of plural marriage, and honestly, we can all relate in how there are certain things that we learn about and we might try to understand, but we might not, and we don't know everything in this life. So it's just, honestly, it's just an example of how she was very faithful, but just like all of us, has struggles in some areas. Next up, we're going to talk about the Relief Society. The Relief Society actually started with the women in the church kind of coming together on their own to perform service. The Relief Society really is an incredible organization. Their purpose is to provide relief for the poor, the widow, the destitute, and the orphan, and to exercise all benevolent purposes. So as the first president of the Relief Society, Emma Smith was actually able to do a lot of good. She's a great example to us today and to the women of that time. Through her strong faith, Emma was able to lead the women in the Relief Society and give them a great example. Because Emma was the first woman to receive her endowments, she was able to help administer the ordinances to other women in the church. It's impressive how much documentation we actually have from the Relief Society. They kept a minute book during their meetings, and Emma was recorded saying once, "We are going to do something extraordinary. When a boat is stuck on the rapids with a multitude of Mormons on board, we shall consider that a loud call for relief. We expect extraordinary occasions." I think this is a great, example, and it just shows how us as women in the church can totally contribute. She was able to be a great example and a teacher and show her faith to everyone else. And now, for the Book of Mormon. According to Joseph Knight's recollection of Mormon history, Joseph Smith was instructed to find the right person to go back and retrieve the plates. And guess who that person was? Emma. Through Lucy Mack Smith's journaling, we're able to receive insight on how involved Emma was in the process of translating the Book of Mormon. She had responsibility in protecting the plates and was actually one of Joseph Smith's original scribes. In Emma's last testimony of the plates, She describes the weight and thickness of them, again showing her involvement and her action. In the Saints Herald, there's an interview with Emma Smith in which she says, talking about the plates, "The plates often lay on the table without any attempt at concealment, wrapped in a small linen tablecloth which I had given him to fold them in. I once felt of the plates as they thus lay on the table, tracing their outline and shape. They seemed to be pliable like thick paper." In the same interview, she shares her faith in the gospel. She shares how her testimony of the Book of Mormon and Joseph Smith being a true prophet never wavered. One final quote from Emma Smith. "My belief is that the Book of Mormon is of divine authenticity. I have not the slightest doubt of it." Learning about all this and seeing her example has helped me personally grow my testimony, and I know through study and prayer, we too can come to have just as strong a testimony of prophets today and of the Book of Mormon and of the gospel and the church and the goodness it provides, as Emma did. Well, I hope you've enjoyed learning about Emma Smith as much as I did. And that's a wrap.